So the newest build of RPG Tycoon brings in full Steam Workshop support, as well as improved overall modding support capabilities. If you've watched any of the previous videos, you should have a rough idea of how to mod the game and the overall practices towards modding RPG Tycoon with XML files and images and things like that, and how to add new buildings and such. And if you haven't watched those before you do any of this, I fully recommend going and checking out those videos. They're about 20 minutes long, and they give you just an overview of the way in which data is loaded into the game. A new build of RPG Tycoon Alpha 11 introduces a much more streamlined way of getting mods into the game in order to support Workshop. Now, my name is Matt, and I'm the developer of the game, and I'll be guiding you through all of this. So let's get started, shall we? Now, previously, you'd have to locate the file order in which you've installed RPG Tycoon, head over to the data files, and edit all of these, get inside them, mess with the code, and you could, potentially break the game completely and have to reinstall the game. And that's really awkward, and that was annoying. And it didn't really help me for getting the concept of getting Workshop in. So what now happens is when you boot the game for the first time, RPG Tycoon will create a folder in your documents directory called RPG Tycoon. There should already exist anyway if you've got save files. And in there you'll have a new mods folder now, which is where you're going to keep and install all of your new mods. So if you want to download any externally from the Workshop, if you're not on Steam and you're watching this and you want to know how to mod the game outside of Steam, you can do that by just dragging and dropping all of the supported mod files into this folder, and the game will load them on startup and get them into the game. So basically, how do we go from the previous videos of showing you how to get stuff through the data files into a format that works and a format that we can use to upload to Workshop, which is what I'm going to show you how to do in this video. Each mod now has its own folder. So instead of installing or editing the data files within the RPG Tycoon data files themselves, you can just copy any named XML file with specific data tags into the game. Now, that seems a bit confusing, but basically what I've done here is I've created an example that we're going to upload and get onto Steam. Now, these are the three main files that you're going to want in a mod, which is a config XML file, the XML files that you are talking to or about in the game, which is referenced within the config file, and then a file called icon.png. Now, it has to be called icon.png. It can't have any other name. And it's going to be a 100 by 100 pixel file that the game will use to show an image for your icon. If it's not there, it should still work, but you'll probably get some errors at runtime. So make sure you have a full file called icon.png, and that can be anything you like to give an example of what your mod is, or kind of show off your mod. You can have other PNG files and text files, but they're the only things that are going to be supported by the game. So just for kind of safety reasons and everything, that's all that we need to load. It's all that RPG Tycoon loads to actually handle any data anyway. So I don't see why you'd want to do anything else, but you can put images and XML files and text files in here. So let me quickly show you. If you've watched the previous videos, you should know fairly easily what this is going to do. And we basically here have a XML file called examplequest.xml, which has the event tags discussed in the quest data kind of tutorial. And it has an example of a new quest name and two choices in that quest and a data tag. Now, this is kind of the important bit, because each data tag now has a type that defines to the game what type of mod it should be loaded as, and this is telling the game to load it as an event. Now, if you're not sure on what data tags to use, if you head over to your install directory for RPG Tycoon, go into the data files, and then let's say you want to create a building, you can head into buildings.xml, and in there you get your tag data type equals building. So you would use this data type tag, so type equals building, for your building mod if you were going to do that. So we've created our XML file, our mod, as our XML file, and we can have as many XML files in here as we want, as many mod files in here as we want. We can have building, you can feel free to combine different mods and different mod types. So we can have, for instance, buildings and quests and heroes all in one. That is all perfectly acceptable. The real kind of cookie that you have to make it all work is this config file. When you try and upload one, it will probably look for it, and if you don't have one, you'll be aware. So if you do anything wrong, the game should let you know. So in your config, you have two main tags that you're going to need to use. It's a data tag to open up the config and a file tag to tell the game which XML files to load. So for instance, in this we have example quest.xml, so we create a file tag and direct it to example quest. You don't need the extension, just the name of the file to load, and it will load that into mod. In the data tag, this is just for some kind of metadata information for the game to name and give a bit of info to the player. You'll see that in a minute using the new mod manager that we've got in RPG Tycoon. But you just name your mod, give it whatever name you want to call it, the author, so that's me, and a description of the mod, and that will then show up in the game. Again, really simple. So if you wanted to have multiple files, you would just copy the file name, and then let's say I had example building, I could just go example building, and that would reference a file in here called example building.xml. Nice and simple. So once you're ready to test your mod, all you have to do is navigate to your mods directory in the RPG Tycoon in your documents, and drag and drop the new mod folder that you've created. For instance, so for us it's this example quest folder into the RPG Tycoon mod folder, and now it's there. And then start the game up. So as the game starts up, you should get a warning if anything's gone wrong with loading the mod, and doesn't seem to have happened that, so it's a good sign. And if we head over to mods, we now have our new mod manager, which shows off some of the mods in the folder, and basically as soon as the game loads, it will look for anything in the folder. And as you can see here, example quest mod, which is the mod that we've just added, is now loaded into the game. Nice and simple. It's enabled, and you can click that to disable it if we want to, but we don't want to do that. And the Everyday Hero mod, which I have subscribed to on Steam Workshop, you can see this little icon will show you if it's a workshop mod, and if you don't want it anymore, all you have to do is click that, unsubscribe, and it will uninstall it from your system. And if you don't have access to the Steam Workshop and you still want to find some mods and play around with things, you can do that. There's some example mods available on the workshop, but there's also some available on the website. So all you have to do is head over to the Modding RPG Tycoon page of the site to download those. There'll be a link below in order to do that, or you might be watching this on the website, in which case there'll be a link to actually downloading the mod files there. So right, so now we know that it's our game. Usually we would test the game and see if it works, but I'm not going to do that because it's all set up to be randomized. I know it works. So once you've tested it and you know that it works, if you are connected to the Steam Workshop, you should have a nice upload mod button up here. So if you click that, you then get a new upload window. Nice little upload to Steam window, and it's really straightforward to get a mod up on the workshop. All you have to do is choose the mod and navigate to the directory. So for us, we go to Documents, RPG Tycoon, Mods. As you can see, the Everyday Hero mod has now downloaded as well. So it also downloads the mods from your workshop into this mods file. Let's choose Example Quest, select that directory. You have to select the folder directory of the mod, not the contents of it. So select folder, and that will now select that. Once selected, we then pick an icon, and it should have the one that we've already selected, and there's an icon in there, so we'll select that. That's our icon, and that will basically be the icon that shows up on the workshop. Then we have to give our mod a name. So I'm going to call this Example Quest Mod, and a description, which is always important. This is an example of how to upload and create a mod that extends the quests via XML files. There we go. And then we find a tag that's appropriate for it. So let's go with Epic Quest, because that's what it is. Textures is an interesting one. I actually discovered that the game can be altered according to some of the sprite sheets that are already in. Now I'll go back into that in more detail in a second. But yeah, that's an interesting, fun tidbit that I realized. So right, Epic Quests. And then all you have to do is hit upload, and it will publish your mod to the cloud. And all you have to do is wait. It should take, depending on the size of your mod, probably about 10, maybe 15 seconds. There you go, and you'll get a nice little mod published icon, and hit continue. And then that's how you get your mod folder up on the RPG Tycoon Steam Workshop. So in order to check if your mod made it up, all you have to do is head over to the RPG Tycoon workshop in the community files. Head over to your files you've posted, and there should be your new mod. This is the example quest mod that I just uploaded, and it should have the description. There we go. This is an example of how to upload and create a mod that extends the quest via XML files. Nice and quick. It's all up there. Very small, very easy, and that's pretty much how you publish a mod for the game on the workshop. Now, it will take a few minutes to actually appear for people to download and subscribe properly, so if it doesn't appear fully, don't worry, it should within about half an hour to an hour. I realized that that's how long it takes. Like I said, I've already uploaded a bunch of new mods for the players to use. Now, I'm going to quickly subscribe to this Steel UI one because this is a really interesting thing. Like I said earlier, I realized that if you could take the data files from within the game already. Oh, sorry, not the data files. Well, the data files will still work. You could rewrite these. If you name anything in your mod file the same as within the data or within the game data files, it will actually replace it upon load because it loads all the mods last. And if they're named the same, they'll overwrite. So what I did is I took a sprite sheet, which is in the sprite sheets that the game uses for laying out UI and things. I took UI.png and downloaded it, put it in the mod folder, and just renamed it as UI. Renamed the UI, but I just desaturated it just to see what would happen. And as it turns out, the game read it perfectly fine. So all you have to do is make sure that it's named the same as the sprite sheets in the game, and it will actually overwrite the existing sprite sheets when the game loads up. So that's kind of cool, and I thought that would be interesting. So if players wanted to kind of do texture overhauls and things like that, that's the way to do it. You just name it the same thing as the game uses, and it will overwrite it upon load. And you'll get some really interesting combos then. So that's pretty much the gist of getting a game onto Workshop. I'll probably do another more detailed tutorial on texture packs, because if some players are doing really intricate mods with lots of new items and stuff, it might get a bit memory heavy. So I would recommend using texture packers. Now I use texture packer GUI and I export with Starling. There'll be a tutorial of that over on the website, but that's just the gist of how to do mod files. If you need a more kind of down-to-earth breakdown, if this was too much for you, I'd highly recommend checking out the post on the site, because that will go into more detail about how to get a mod working, and it gives you an example of what to do there. So yeah, I can't wait to see what you guys start making, and I hope you enjoy all of the new features with Workshop. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye!